Please welcome to our stage, Roberson.
It is certainly an honor to be here among so many thought leaders here in Oklahoma. I really appreciate, and I'm very excited to be part of the inaugural series of Next Gen Talks. So we each experience a unique life journey. We all come from different walks of life from across our great state. But I'm here this afternoon to make sure that you understand that if I can be successful, I know that you can be too. I'd like to start by sharing 4 important lessons that I've learned throughout my entrepreneurial journey, and that's innovating from within for change, recognizing when to pivot, the importance of true self-confidence, and why we should choose to always be grateful no matter the circumstance. Over the past decade, I've won numerous awards: Insurance Business America Hot 100, Metro 50 award winners. I've been recognized as a global InsurTech influencer month over month. I took a blank computer screen and pioneered a global technology company downtown Oklahoma City, grew it to over 45,000 independent contractors in several countries, and then sold it for millions of dollars. But my entrepreneurial journey started a long time before that. In elementary school, actually, making and selling yarn belts in school colors on a small farming community playground out in western Oklahoma. I quickly realized that if I could corral my friends into helping me make more belts, my distribution rate would rapidly increase and we could expand our services to include trivets and wall art. Everything was going swimmingly until the principal shut us down and said, "No more yarn belts." And so I started making Christmas tree ornaments. I grew up in a trailer home with an adoptive father who thought I should not smile in photos, walk behind the rest of the family, and would switch me until my legs would bleed if I were to disobey. I came home one day from school to find that my mother had put our family dogs down. She'd put them to sleep because they'd become too much of a nuisance. By the time I was 16, my journey had become increasingly difficult, and I decided to move to southeastern Oklahoma to live with my grandmother. And although I graduated at the top of my class and with honors, I became pregnant in college, dropped out, and would eventually have 2 sons whose fathers both passed away from vehicle accidents. One, a single car rollover accident, not wearing a seatbelt, so always wear your seatbelt, and the other due to complications several months after the accident. I am the statistical snapshot of someone who should not be successful. However, in my early 20s, I landed an advertising sales position with Cable One, which is a division of the Washington Post. And I quickly started to realize the importance of commission. My paycheck was a direct reflection of my tenacity, my willingness to understand my customer and work hard, create and implement solutions that actually worked. Not unlike my paycheck today. It's really about the same. So I really tried to learn everything I could about my customer, and I encourage everyone out here to do the same. I learned the ins and outs. I learned the front end, the back end. I wanted to find out what their most profitable items were. I wanted to help sell more of those. I decided, how can I fit my media campaign into their overall marketing plan? And in fact, one of my most rewarding moments of my entire career happened early on. I had the owner of a small tire center tell me that our campaign had been so successful, he was able to provide his employees a holiday bonus that year. And they were really looking forward to sharing a nice Christmas with their families. And I was hooked. I was totally hooked at that moment and loved what I was doing. I became the youngest President's Club award winner for that company 2 years in a row. I advanced to regional sales position in Joplin, Missouri, and then on to my own system in Columbus, Mississippi, all before the age of 30. And everything was going swimmingly well until my youngest son's father passed away. And I realized that things had to change. My heart was telling me I had to spend more time with my kids. I needed the flexibility, homework, bath, hamburger helper. I was coaching my oldest son's basketball team He's here in the audience. Hey, sweetie. And I knew the only way I could do this was by starting my own company and building my own flexible schedule. But my head was telling me that was crazy, right? I had a stable paycheck. I had 2 kids to take care of. I was good at what I do. I never saw myself doing anything different. I loved it. But if you've ever heard the expression, the longest, hardest journey you'll ever experience is the 14 inches, they're talking about the 14 inches between your heart and your head, and I believe it. So I had to really start innovating from within myself. I had to approach my own thinking of how to do things differently. I seriously had to change. And when I finally was able to do this within myself, I took that leap of faith, started my first company, then I started dabbling in real estate, then I started another company, and then an energy drink distributorship, and I don't know what that was all about, and then another company. I was doing a lot of this communication here. And so in 2009, when I had a friend that was looking at a high-end projector on eBay, and he thought the seller was misrepresenting it, he said, I wish I had someone to go look at that for me. I did some research, couldn't find such a service provider, and thought, wow, that's pretty cool. How neat would that be to be able to dispatch someone on demand near an asset location, go capture current asset information, photos, video, answering questions, and then bundling that electronically and sending that back to the customer? So in December of 2010, I launched We Go Look for people just like us, individuals. And everything was going swimmingly again. Or actually, it was more like dog paddling. It was definitely more like dog paddling at this point. There was a lot of trial and error, mostly error, learning what to do, figuring out the business model. I didn't know what I was doing. This was brand new for me, so I had to learn everything. I had to start hiring more employees, which was new for me. I was able to really start expanding, and I came up with this next piece here, because when you do tread water for a while and you don't really make any progress, I believe you have to learn how to pivot. And this was a really aha moment for me in the business. Again, I'd built it for individual consumers like us, but started focusing on big, large businesses that needed a nationwide footprint. So think vehicle inspections, property inspections, really on-demand field services. And when I took that leap of faith again to really stop what I had been doing, which was difficult because I'd put so much time and energy and resources into going down one pathway, making this pivot ended up paying off for me. I secured several large commercial contracts, which led to securing a Series A funding round of around $3 million, and we really started to grow at that point. Now, I would say things are swimmingly now because we've started expanding, adding to the team. I was able to really have the monetary resources to begin the technology that I'd really wanted. But I would say that one of the byproducts of my childhood was that I lacked self-esteem. I didn't have that self-confidence that I really needed at certain times. And I was starting to work on a very large presentation. It was a very important meeting with an industry that I was not familiar with. I was quite nervous about it. I didn't understand the terminology. And I was sitting at my desk, a little anxious about it, doing some research, and I started thinking about the founders of Airbnb and Uber. And those guys had no industry expertise in transportation or hospitality. But you know what? They had a fantastic idea, leveraging technology, a better customer experience at a lower cost. And it hit me. I had another aha moment. I was like, you don't have to be an industry expert to be an industry leader. And when I sat there that day and I really let that sink in, I know this may sound silly, but it changed me. And it changed the way I approach things at work. And my COO at the time and now business partner, Kenneth Knoll, and I took the business over the next 2 years, 10x, and we had a nice, really hockey stick, and I would say things were swimming like Michael Phelps' Olympic gold swimming. It was great. And that leads me to my fourth and final slide, and that is how to always be grateful and why we should. Did you know that it is impossible to have a positive and negative thought at the same time? That's kind of cool, I think. You can't be happy and sad at the same time. You can't have this positive and negative thought at the same time. And I learned many years ago that it takes the bad to really put the good in perspective. And so I appreciate the bad because I then am grateful doubly for the good. I'm grateful for my childhood. My father instilled work ethic in me that has benefited me my entire career. I knew exactly what kind of parent I wanted to be. When you start becoming grateful for little things, your life will change. And I'm not kidding. If the barista at Starbucks messes up your order, be grateful. You're richer than most of the world. You can afford $5 coffee. You have the means of transportation to get there. They're probably in training. They're a productive member of society working at a job. Be grateful for that mistake. And when you start looking at things in this light, your output and the other people receive you differently. It works. So in closing, I'd really like to just summarize. I don't believe it matters where you came from, where you've been, or where you are now. We each have the ability to really design and structure our own destiny, and we can make it to thrive. You're in control of that. So to recap, I really hope that today when you leave, you're able to capitalize on one of the 4 items that we talked about. Innovating from within, and I just want to make a side note here. Innovation doesn't mean you have to go out and create a whole new business or something that's never been invented. To me, innovation is really just process improvement, but at scale. So you can start small, just improve something. It can be something in your personal relationship, your personal life, a project at work. It can be an idea that you have, and then build upon that. And pretty soon, you'll have a nice staircase that's very large. Learning how to pivot. If you've been treading water in a relationship, in a career, plant one foot, pick the other one up. If you don't know where to place it, don't worry about it. I've done that too. Just put your foot down somewhere differently, and change will start taking its own course, and something will happen. Third, have true self-confidence. Don't wait until you're in your 40s like I was. When you walk out of here, just remember it's up here in your mind. And just own it. Go be a badass today. Leave here and just have that self-confidence from this moment on. And don't forget to be grateful. I am grateful for all of you here that took time out of your day to come listen. We have all these amazing leaders from Oklahoma. How exciting. All the supporters of the event. Just be grateful. And I would just end on one of my favorite lines from Finding Nemo for Kobe. And that's Dory. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Thank you.